Guys, just dialing in and joining on the call now. Super excited to have you. My name's Rory. I'm going to be hosting and help facilitate this webinar along with some of our colleagues. Welcome to the 2026 Apprenticeship Program webinar, where we're going to take you through more details around what it is we've got planned for next year and how you could get involved and what that looks like. The session itself will probably take about 20-25 minutes in terms of the information we have to share with you, but then we'll be going into a Q&A process, which will give you the chance to be able to unpack your thoughts. You might notice in the webinar structure, which is hosted in Teams, there is a space for you to be able to ask questions under a Q&A section. You will also see a chat section that you can add your thoughts. Obviously, it's all written. Don't be disturbed if you can't speak. Marks are off in terms of participants, but you can certainly contribute and raise queries as you choose to, just by typing it into the chat interface or the Q&A interface, and we'll dive into those questions a little bit later in the session. In the meantime, I've just been allowing a few more guys to join us. I can see more folks joining as we continue speaking here, but we're going to get going in the next couple of seconds. Just give us another sort of 30 seconds, and then we will kick off. Right, guys, I hope you can all see the slide deck that we're sharing today. I'm going to kick straight into introductions. My name is Rory Clark. I'm the director at Kaleidocode Pivot and one of the founders. Business was started almost 10 years ago, and it's a really exciting space to be in, to be able to share with you what we're doing here, what we're going to be doing next year. My role is to basically drive the strategy of the business, and our focus as a business is to be able to really impact young people. So if you're a graduate or you're somebody who's in your final year of study, you're in the right place. We're going to unpack a whole lot more information. I'm joined by Nolutando Sabelo, who is our apprenticeship manager for the program for 2026. And she's going to be dipping into the conversation, sharing little bits and pieces that you can take with you after the session. So we're going to kick straight into the proceedings and talk a little bit about really what Kaleidocode Pivot does. So as a business, we have two main services we supply. The one is we write quality software, enterprise software. We do testing around that, business analysis, project management, you name it. And that is for delivery to enterprise clients. So large systems, large data-driven systems, a lot of web-based systems, and we have built literally tens upon tens upon tens of projects now with our partners. The other thing that we do really, really well is we develop people. Through the start of the business, our focus has been on training and coaching and getting young, bright graduates, especially, into roles where they become fully fledged software professionals. And we do that via apprenticeship programs. Those programs are structured, they start, they stop, they've got milestones. We put a lot of thought into them, and we're going to unpack a lot more around how we do that people development. But that at the core is what Pivot does. And we do that for a range of companies. So large brands that you will recognize that are well established, where we've been working with some of these companies for the last 10 years, running programs for them, assisting young folks to be able to be the best they possibly can be. And you can see there's a wide variety from financial services into iGaming, into security, logistics, retail. It's a whole blend. And that's part of the excitement of being a software consultant, is you get a great sense of diversity and variety, and the type of training that we provide and coaching we provide to be able to work in those high-paced environments. And that really ends up being a whole multifaceted process. So we're going to unpack a little bit more around our apprenticeship and what's involved in that. And I'm going to hand over to Knowles to be able to unpack some of the core basics. But I think one takeaway that you must get from this is that this is youth focused to be high performance software professionals. That's the goal. And that's what our programs are seeking out to do, to be able to drive you to be in a position to outperform your peers. Knowles.
Thank you, Rory. And yeah, welcome everybody. As Rory mentioned, my name is Nolutando, and so excited to have you join us today. So yeah, what does this apprenticeship have to offer? What can it provide for you guys? So got a few things to just unpack a little bit. Industry coaching. So we've got experienced software engineers that are working for our company who have taken and invested their time to coach you guys throughout the process, throughout the program. You get involved in practical boot camps. Rory did mention a few of our services like business analysis, automation testing. We cover all of those boot camps in our program, but yeah, we will unpack later on and in a slide later on. Also, commercial projects. So what happens is that our apprentices, get assigned each to different clients that you saw earlier on that Rory shared. They'll get into client teams and they'll be able to, contribute in, proper real life commercial projects. Um, they also get to work on their very own full stack web application. So this is their baby. They'll get a full one-on-one coaching and direction and guidance by our coaches for this web application. So throughout this process of creating this web application, is that they'll be using all the learnings that they've been taught during all the boot camps that we provide as well. And also importantly, this is a proper job, guys. So this is a paid apprenticeship. So all of our apprentices will earn a competitive salary. Yeah, thanks, Rory. I think we can move on to the next one. And just unpack a little bit further about how does that apprenticeship year look like. So we generally kick off very early January. That first month is filled with induction sessions. Just getting you acquainted with our company and what we are about. In that month as well, we fill in a few of our core boot camps there. Test boot camp, some soft skills to prepare you to going into the working world to prepare you for that, and some agile projects. And then from the month of February up until around April or so, you get your probation period will be around this time, and then the rest of the boot camps, which we'll chat about later on, coding, automation testing, some DevOps, some SecOps, and business analysis. So yeah, that period will be filled with that, guys. And then from May until the remainder of the year, as I mentioned that full stack application, you kick off your the full stack application, get to meet you'll get to meet your one-on-one coach, and then yeah, you start planning for it and implement it and so forth. And then also I did mention with the clients teams that you get assigned on. So you'll be working from May up until the remainder of the year, working on those client projects, etc. And then also at the very end, as you can see on the side, it says graduate. You will get to graduate and yeah, you'll get your certificate to say that I have successfully completed the apprenticeship program. So that is that the year in a nutshell. Like it really is. It's full. You get to learn a lot. You get to experience different things, working on proper teams. You get to build and develop yourself. Technically and behaviorally. So we make sure that we cover all of that in that year. Thank you, Rory.
So thanks so much, Knowles. So guys, you might be asking yourself, why an apprenticeship? Why would I consider doing this? I've gone through a great diploma or degree, or I've got some great training. Why do I need this in my life right now? From my perspective, and the companies that I've founded in the software space, is that we've found increasingly over time that graduates are coming out of universities or tertiary institutions lacking the skills to be able to contribute immediately to software teams. They've got great foundational underpinnings, they've got great education, but the reality is they don't have applied knowledge. What do I mean by that? I mean the ability to be able to contribute on a team to either code, to analysis, to design, to testing, any one of those core functions that is vital on an enterprise software team. And you may say, well, listen, surely I could just join a firm and they will teach me that. And the reality is a lot of people do that, and a lot of people learn that way. They learn the ropes of how to become a software professional. The reason we put a program in place, and have been running one for almost 10 years, is because we believe we can accelerate that process. We believe we can deepen the skill set, and we believe we can create performers, folks that outperform their peers in terms of the quality of the first year they get. So we've built a year program to be able to give you the applied skills that you need and get you to practice and apply those skills into software work during your first year, so that it builds a learning paradigm for you, that you are more likely to be promoted more early, you're more likely to be paid more, you're more likely to be able to rise into a more responsible leadership position earlier in your career than if you hadn't done that. And you might say, well, Rory, how do you know that? I can tell you now, we've taken more than 50 engineers through this process over the last 10 years, and we've seen the results. Folks that have come through this program have been more employable, they've performed better, they've been promoted more quickly on average. Now, obviously, you have a part to play, and we'll talk about what that is, but we believe this approach works. It provides you with a bridge to accelerate your career and to render you more employable and more impactful. Now, how do we do that? Knowles has given a bit of a breakdown, but I'm going to just provide a little bit more detail as to one of the core elements, which is our bootcamp system. We've developed 9 bootcamps as it stands currently that you get an opportunity to be able to experience. And these are run by software professionals, testers, developers, business analysts, project managers. Depending on what the bootcamp is, that is a real experienced veteran who's worked in that space for years, who runs that program and provides you with details around how it's done in industry. It takes you through exercises where you get to practice how a team would expect you to contribute work. And these are sometimes part-time, sometimes full-time, but they are mixed into the first 3-4 months of the year, and they provide you a great connection to experienced software professionals, which you can often lack in another company, because you don't get access to these individuals and you don't get the detail of what it is they're going to be able to train you on. Whereas we've combined that into one sitting. And by including these boot camps with a full stack application and a client project, we get to be able to take the knowledge you learn in these boot camps and apply it to the work that you start producing on real commercial projects and giving you the exposure that is so critical. So my view on this is, why would you consider an apprenticeship? For me, it's going to get you to the career point that you're looking for. It's that ability to give you velocity in the start of your career. It sets you up in a real style of being able to do the type of work that's complex and being able to communicate effectively and being able to demonstrate that skill set to your peers. The second thing about it is that it's real commercial work. You work on production software. There are meaningful business problems. You might assume this is what happens in the working world, but often junior positions in companies are reduced in scope because people don't have enough experience. We're trying to unpack that experience gap, bridge it, and get you exposure to the work so that you can build that experience really early on and continue learning through it. And then the third thing is, this apprenticeship is designed explicitly to go on to permanent employment, either by our clients, and some of the folks that have come through our program have gone to AWS, Lexus, Derivco, and others, or it's into Kaleidocode Group, We're a consulting business. We have consultants that are working as software professionals across a myriad of clients that I showed earlier, and we hire a large portion of the class each year as well. So this is a great way to be able to do a job interview, to be able to get into ultimately a full-time position, but at a higher level based on the skills that you develop during the year. And let's not be confused. This is also an engaging year. You build relationships with folks that you go through this experience with. It is very collegiate. It is socially orientated. The whole focus is to be able to build relationships and to be able to establish yourself as a whole man, whole woman through the process where you're working on behavioral skills as well as technical skills that's going to make you more and more impactful and employable. That being said, is you can imagine in a high performance program like this, we've got real expectations around the types of people that we want to let into this program and who we want to consider working with in 2026. So to unpack that a little bit, I'm going to hand back to Noz to share.
Great, thank you, Rory. Guys, so yeah, we've been chatting about what the program provides, what you can expect to get from this program, but also, this is twofold. We want to know what you like. What do we expect from you guys? So, what makes a successful apprentice, guys? So, there's two things we actually look at, and we look out for is your attitude to learning, to wanting to grow yourself, to wanting to develop yourself. Very big on that at Kaleidocode Pivot, because that is actually linked to one of our core values, which is learn, grow, and deliver. So of course, we're wanting somebody that's going to be eager to learn, eager to soak up new information, and wanting to better themselves. The next thing is aptitude. So this is your technical ability and your merit. So this apprenticeship will give you a chance to upskill in this. So you get the coaching, you get the training, which is ongoing throughout the year. So I mean, if you feel like, okay, this is me, this is a person, this is like definitely attitude to learning. This is me. This is like I've got the ability and the merit to actually wanting to join this program. Then what do you need to do? So the first thing you'll do, thank you, Rory, is that apply, guys. Apply to the program, and I will pop the link to for applying onto the chat. So if you haven't yet, you can do so. So you'll apply to the program, link on the chat, and then once we receive your application, guys, obviously we'll filter and we'll make sure that we review every single CV and application that comes through to see, okay, you do qualify, you do meet the criteria, and then you will get an invitation to actually do a video questionnaire. So the video questionnaire just gives us a snippet, a little view of like who you are. You'll have a few questions that we'd like you to answer. And then obviously if we like what we see, it's like, okay, yes, then we will ask you to do an online assessment. So that's further assesses, if you are, on the right track for the program. So that assessment would look like, some coding questions there, attention to detail, some patterns, numerics for you to actually, to assist you guys on that. That is the second step, guys. So the very first, the third step is an in-person assessment. So we will shortlist from the online assessment stage, and then we'll ask you to come and write a written pen and paper assessment, guys. So that'll be, between two some coding questions and testing questions, because I mean this is the gist of what we do as well. So once we are happy, we'll mark obviously a shortlist that stage, and then we will go to the interview stages. So guys, we've got three interview stages within our company, and this is the recruitment process throughout for which for any position that is for in our company. So this is because we are trying to obviously get the right person for each role. So I know it's a bit lengthy, but I mean we go through that process because yeah, we want to get the right people. So the first round HR. I want to test like what your motivation is, what your career goals are. Where did you study? Why did you choose this qualification? Yeah, just to get a little feel about like who you are, and that's the very first stage of the interview stages. So if that round is successful for you, we ask you to come through to write a second round, to come through for a second round technical interview. So, we'll sit with some of our senior developers. They'll give you a problem to solve, and then you'll come back and chat to them and unpack, how you came about, the solutions. So they get to, the technicals as our senior developers get to know you a little bit better as well, but also to assess if you are, capable of doing the work as well. The very last stage of the interviews is what we call a culture or team fit interview. So you'll meet a few of our staff members, all doing different roles in the company. They get to ask you questions to see if the certain individual, is aligned with our values, or is a person that will fit in what we do as well, and also with the program. And also you get a chance to actually ask those people, our staff members, questions, so you also be comfortable enough to know that what, this is the place that I want to be. This is a place that I want to grow and build my career. And then if you're successful throughout that whole process, we will then send you an offer. And we try and just wrap up the whole process around November, so that, we kick off the year, with all of those offers wrapped up. Yeah, so I know we've all been chatting, Rory and I, we've been telling you about the program, the recruitment, but I think you'll be excited to hear that obviously we have some of our apprentices that have joined us on this call, and they'll further share on the journey that they have had. So, introducing you to you first, Masamba.
Oh,
Thanks,
hi
Masamba.
everyone. Thanks, Nons. Hi everyone. So my name is Masamba Mpalala. I studied at Wits where I did my Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. So what drew me to the KCP Apprentice program? So what drew me is that I saw that they do provide like boot camps for new joiners, which is something I feel like everyone should do after moving from varsity, especially since we just more into theory and stuff. So the boot camps as well as the coaching where you get to be coached by seniors. That's one of the things I really enjoyed also, which I also benefited the most from. What I also enjoyed is working on an enterprise project. Yeah, that has also helped me like growing as a developer. Yeah, that's it. No, thanks.
Thanks, Masamba. We will hand over to Nondumiso. Nondumiso, tell us a little bit more.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nondumiso Stevens, and I'm currently an apprentice here at Kaleidocode Pivot. I also hold a degree in computer science and IT from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. The first question I'll be answering is what drew me to the Kaleidocode Pivot Apprenticeship program? So my older brother was part of the program a few years ago while I was still in university. So he would sometimes share what he was learning during the boot camps. And when I compared that to what I was currently learning at university, I realized that there was a huge gap that I still needed to fill. In a way, university did not really equip me with the industry knowledge that I needed and also the skills. So I decided to apply for the program as well so that I can get that knowledge and skills that I need to be a good developer. Did the program exceed my expectations or meet them? It definitely exceeded my expectations because initially I thought that software development was mainly about coding, just building all kinds of applications. And because of that, I thought the program would just focus on coding principles like writing clean code. But when I joined the program, I was introduced to a lot of concepts. I learned about software testing, DevOps. I also had no idea what DevOps was about until I joined the program. I learned about SecOps all in a span of 3 months. And what stood out the most to me was that it was just not theory, like how it's done in university, but we had to apply everything that we learned on the assessments our coach would give us. And the second question and advice that I would give to young graduates who will be entering the working world next year, from my experience, I would say be willing to learn and ask as many questions as possible and be able to adapt. Do not be afraid or feel intimidated, especially if you're a girl. Just remember that you're just as capable as anyone you'll be working with. So carry yourself with confidence. That's the advice I would give. And thank you for listening. I'll be handing over to my fellow apprentice, Damian.
Hi, everybody. I'm Damian Pillay, and I studied mechanical engineering at UKZN. And a little bit about what drove me, what drew me to this program. I didn't really study anything within the realm of computer science or IT, so most of my exposure to the world of development was self-taught. And given that, there was a lot of gaps in my knowledge that needed filling. So when it came to looking for a place of employment, I was actually in a similar position to you guys right now, where I actually watched last year's webinar. And from listening to the experiences of the apprentices to the prior year and all the training that's to come in this program, it was really clear to me that there was no other role that was offering this amount of value. So applying to me was an absolute no-brainer since I needed those gaps filled. And yeah, thankfully I made the cut. And going into the program, my expectation was primarily to fill in those gaps. And I can confidently say that it exceeded on that in so many ways, because not only did it fill in those gaps, but it also expanded my mindset and perspective on what it means to be a developer. And it taught me to think in ways that I never really considered before, not just about code, but as the industry of the industry as a whole. And that really helped me tremendously when I was actually put onto actual work. And that segues perfectly into my next question on an unexpected challenge that I had to overcome with the lessons that I learned from the program. So this was fairly recently. I was assigned a front-end feature to work on, and the requirements of said feature were more so a creative vision rather than concrete instructions of what to do and how to implement this. So it was essentially my job to figure out how can I make this feature become a reality, and how can I give the stakeholders involved exactly what they want. And I'll be totally honest with you, prior to this program, I probably wouldn't have been able to uh, do this feature properly, and I probably wouldn't have even been able to comprehend what exactly was expected of me in the situation. But thankfully, through this program, it equipped me to comprehend and handle this problem with minimal friction, because every aspect of the training was put to use in the creation of this feature from start to finish. And yeah, I'm not just talking about the code itself. I'm talking about from the very moment that it was assigned to me in that meeting. And just to give you an example of that process, in the BA bootcamp, we were taught to elicit information properly. And through that bootcamp, I was able to ask the right questions, and I was able to properly grasp what was expected of me from the stakeholders. I was able to make good mock-ups for what the idea would eventually become. From the project management bootcamp, I was essentially taught how to manage my time and effort wisely, and how to properly set achievable goals and create a roadmap for myself. From the coding boot camps itself, it equipped me with better instincts, because I was able to break down such a complex problem into much more smaller, manageable steps. And it taught me not just to solve the problem, but to also think about scalability and maintainability, which is actually very important when it comes to the working world. Even the other boot camps had me think about my code in a much different light. For example, SecOps, it actually made me think about the security of my code, whether this feature can be hacked, is there any vulnerabilities, and how do I fix that? And yeah, all of these aspects uh, contributed towards the goal of creating that feature. And thankfully, through that, I was able to deliver that feature on time, and it was exactly what the stakeholders wanted. So yeah, my aim in saying this isn't really to boast or gloat about my personal progress, but I genuinely believe that this is just another testament to what this program can do for you. And I'm certain my peers have similar stories to mine right now. And yeah, if anything I said to you guys resonate with you right now, I strongly urge you to apply, because this is an opportunity that you definitely do not want to miss out on. and it's an opportunity you will not regret being a part of. And yeah, I really hope to see some of you here next year. That's all from me. I'll hand it over to you now, Nols.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Damian. Thank you, Nondumiso, and thank you, Masamba, for sharing your journeys. It brings this closer to home so that, the guys that are actually thinking about, applying for this program to just get a bit of an insight. And also just for when I hear this, it's like, okay, this is why we do this, the young graduates come in, with not a lot of, the skill that is needed for the working world, and come down like month 8, they've learned so much, and they can come up here confidently and share with you. So kudos to you guys. So yeah, if this resonates with you, definitely, guys, on the screen right now, you can follow us on our socials. You can apply out on the chat. There is the link to apply, and yeah, just get into it. Get into the program and then see how it goes. Not to forget, guys, Q&A box. Please put in your questions, because we will be attending to those right now. But otherwise, really, really thankful and grateful for you joining and just giving us your ears. And hopefully, this was a valuable session for you guys. You actually got what you needed from the session. And like I said again, yeah, please, if you can, definitely apply. Thank you, guys. Handing over to you, Rory.
Yeah, thanks for attending. I absolutely echo that. And it's always amazing to be able to hear how apprentices are finding their experience. So, Knowles and I always say to the guys when they join these types of webinar calls, like, be honest, speak from the heart as to how you found the year, because you have a responsibility to be able to convey truthfully how you found this experience so far. And for me, it's always interesting, and it's always exciting to hear their points of view. So I'm hoping it is useful to you too.